The rotating firing order myth. You might have seen my first V12 video on my channel where I fully embraced the idea of the sequential firing order by designing an equal length 12:1 exhaust that follows that principle, in the hope to get some high-pitched Formula 1 exhaust noises out of that Mercedes V12.
To make it sound even better than this one.
Well, if you have seen the follow-up video, you might remember how that worked out. And way more experienced people than myself were convinced the sequential firing order was the ticket to the high-pitched F1 sound, but there was no explanation on why it didn't work this time. It took me another 6 months to look through the bullshit.
Here are 4 equal length 8:1 headers, all with the sequential firing sequence, but only 2 get that musical exhaust sound. Can you tell which one? It's not these 2. It's these 2.
But 6 months later, you'll never guess, the bullshit has returned. Recently some people have started giving me advice again that a rotational firing order into the collector is indeed required to achieve this high-pitched F1 sound. And unfortunately, they seem to be inconvincible sure about it. And as I found out later, this started again because
of one YouTube person that said that that's the difference in F1 sound.
According to the messages I've received, there seems to be a consensus among experts that the rotational firing order creates high-pitched exhaust noises. So let's have a closer look. Consensus: a generally accepted opinion or decision among a group of people. That's the sound of the first Mercedes S600 that got that high-pitched F1 sound with aftermarket headers that I know of. Putting a pair of equal length 6:1 headers on a V12 was all that was needed, it seemed. And in hindsight, it's not much more than that. The M137 used in that car is a 60-degree V12 that releases cylinder pressure into its exhaust in the following order: 1, 12, 5, 8, 3, 10, 6, 7, 2, 11, 4, 9. Let me repeat it a little bit more slowly. 1, 12, 5, 8, 3, 10, 6, 7, 2, 11, 4, 9. This header doesn't use the sequential firing order, but paired to that V12 it still manages to get that F1 sound just fine. Note, it also doesn't use steps, but we get to that point in a moment. This is a spectrogram. While I'm no expert on working with it, the basics of it are pretty easy to understand. These yellow lines are notes. So the higher up you'll find yellow stuff, the higher the pitch. When multiple of those yellow lines are played at the same time, some people call that music, but I'm no expert. So when you see a wall of yellow, you might think, oh, that's a lot of music ahead. It is not. A lot of yellow stuff is a lot of unwanted tones, aka noise. So when we play that music again, and also add the unwanted tones, we still end up with a lot of that. But let's have a look at how that translates into exhaust music. Once again, I'm no expert, but that looks different. Now let's make a huge mental leap here. It seems that a higher frequency is directly correlated to the impression of a higher pitch. But as hard as I try, I cannot come up with an explanation how changing the firing order into the collector can make this number go up. Yet at the same time, even with my basic understanding of physics and very little imagination, I can really see how changing the area size multiple times along the length of an exhaust could split up a single pressure wave into many smaller ones, therefore increasing the pitch. But maybe that's just me. When you read some internet comments nowadays, you might get the impression that everything that's remotely F1 sounding must have stepped headers, completely ignoring the fact that YouTube person A never said it that way.
Even the sound of the Formula 1 V12s is based on the same physics principle, but it's applied in a slightly different way.
So when I get messages that YouTube person B said this and that, I'm very skeptical. Better to check the source.
The theory says that if you have it go rotationally, like this, 1, 3, 2, 4, or backwards, 4, 2, 3, 1, not only will that rotation give you consistent sound,
that consistent sound might actually be true. Question is, would you be able to tell the difference? I've made bigger changes to exhausts and couldn't, but I've never tested this in comparison, so I'm not sure.
not only will that rotation give you consistent sound, but you'll have enhanced scavenging effects.
That enhanced scavenging effect might be true, has very little to do with high-pitched sound, it sounds plausible, who knows. But I noticed there was not one word mentioned that a rotating firing order achieves a higher pitch. That comes now.
I've been doing a deep dive in research and I spoke to many different people that design headers for Porsches. The common consensus is that we can also achieve that higher pitched sound with a significantly shorter length runner.
I did a deep dive too, but I came to a different conclusion. In a 4-into-1 header, that higher pitched sound cannot be achieved just by a significant shorter length runner. Test 1. Really short runner length. Test 2. Medium runner length. Test 3. Even longer runner length, but stepped.
The common consensus is that we can also achieve that higher pitched sound with a significantly shorter length runner.
Okay, one more time. I'll let you decide. Important to note that advice seemingly came from many different people that design headers for Porsches. Porsches are usually 6 cylinders. Most of the time their header design is a 6-into-2-into-1 and then optionally split up into 2 again, which is very different from a 4-into-1 header. Remember that sentence from that Formula 1 Ferrari V12?
Even the sound of the Formula 1 V12s is based on the same physics principle, but it's applied in a slightly different way.
If a 4-into-2-into-1 header was used, things would have been a lot more closer to that Porsche header. I have no idea about the current consensus on what qualifies as a F1 sound, but this rotating firing order 12-into-1 header falls short of the mark in my book. Whereas this V8 doesn't. But how would you rate this one? It's not in the same league as Alexis LFA, is it? Case closed. So if it doesn't always work, is not even required, and cannot be explained, it might be bullshit. Therefore I conclude, the rumor that a font sound is created by the rotating firing order is a myth. Anyone who can think critically can arrive at that conclusion. Consensus: a generally accepted opinion or decision among a group of people.